Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter, the Sports Illustrated Las Vegas Raiders beat writer, as well as the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider podcast, coming to you today from here at Raiders headquarters. I'm still here. Apologize. I know I'm not lethargic, but had 4 hours of sleep in the last 3 days. So I apologize if I seem a little tired. Um, I want you to know I did not lie to you. I told you that we were going to have a pre-draft podcast this morning, but with plane delays, I wasn't able to get back to Vegas until uh, late morning, and then I had to come right to the facility. So I apologize about that and ask you to forgive me. My intention was to do it, but I'm sorry. But after my brother's funeral and plane delays and getting back, I had to be here for this. So forgive me. And but I told you I'd do one, so I'm going to give you an explanation on why I didn't. All right, let's dig right into tonight. The Raiders at number 13 selected Brock Bowers. Now, we're going to talk about this a lot, and I just want to address a couple things. I'm going to probably in Monday's podcast um, dig in deep on some stuff with you, very deep on a couple of very important issues that I think we need to talk about. But I've been warning you for several weeks about some things that were coming out, and Raider Nation just got baited. And I have told you this. This is my fifth year covering the Raiders. It's my 25th draft, by the way. But my fifth year covering the Raiders, and I've told you since I about 3 or 4 months after I got here that Raider Nation is so big that the people pimp you. And I know that's a vulgar term, but they pimp you, and because Raider Nation's so hungry, it's click, 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 click. So I want to go back and share a couple things with you, and then I'm going to tell you how the whole Brock Bowers thing came together. This isn't a gee, look at how smart Hondo is type of thing. I want to be able to put it all into context to how they got to getting Brock Bowers. So I told you guys in February they had reached up to everyone to find out what the cost was to move up. I told you at that time they could have gotten Chicago 3 1s, 3 2s. But the Raiders waited, and then the Raiders went and got Gardner. And then the Bears realized, okay, the market is not there like we thought it was going to be. So they trade Justin Fields. I have been telling you, and if you're a new listener to the podcast, all of the podcasts are here, so you can go listen. But I have been telling you that what I was hearing was at 1, 2, and 3, Bears, Commanders, Patriots, they weren't moving. I've been telling you that. Again, you can go back and listen for months that somebody would have to do something stupid, but they weren't moving. So all of a sudden, reports come out last week. Raiders have made calls. Okay. They did back in February and told teams, if you come off that price, let us know. And they were not actively, they already knew what the cost was. And so some media reports, and I want to really commend the people I compete with, the beat writers. You guys are really blessed. You got some really good beat writers that cover this team. And I compete with them every day and think I do a good job, think that we do at Sports Illustrated do a good job. But I appreciate the way I think that they were really good to you guys and treated you right. Um, but, and I'm talking about beat writers there. Now, there's some people that um, may create content about the Raiders, but aren't beat people, meaning here and active all the time. And those people aren't bad, but the people that were here and knew what was going on, I didn't see any of them. Now, if somebody did and I didn't see it, I apologize, but I commend them because people, Raider Nation was in a fury that they were going to pick Michael Penix at 13. Okay. We brought on people who talked about what the concerns was. Now, I've been telling you, and including this week, that I thought as many as that some people thought as many as 7 quarterbacks would go, but they thought probably 6. Okay, there were 3 quarterbacks taken tonight that multiple people that I know who are great quarterback drafters. That means they've done it and been successful. There were 3 guys taken tonight that did not have first round grades. And one of them had a 3rd round grade, and one of them had a no round grade, meaning we wouldn't draft him, in Bo Nix. And I I did a podcast yesterday where I talked about how, you know, bad drafters push good players down. Now, I know for a fact there are more than one offensive lineman and more than one defensive player. I don't want to reveal too much information because I will never do anything to hurt the Raiders that have first round grades and at very critical positions for the Raiders. Okay. So a lot of people were worked up. Oh man, they're trying. I had somebody on Twitter, God bless them. I'm not mad at you. If you're watching, I'm not mad at you. This is so dumb. Why do you keep predicting they're going to take Tolise Fawaga when they're working so hard to move up to get Jaden? Because they weren't. Now, that doesn't mean they didn't want Jaden, but there was nothing to work. You can't trade if you don't have a trade partner. I think sometimes because they want something to happen so much that they pretend that they're sitting up there like uh, Daffy Duck or his rich uncle. I don't remember what that cartoon was. My kids used to watch it, smoking a cigar, saying, "Oh, come bring me your offers." That you can't trade with people that don't want to trade. I mean, you can get mad at Tom Telesco, you can get mad at Mark Davis, you can get mad at Antonio Pearson. I saw some of you who are allegedly fans, some of you vulgar. You can't trade with people who don't want to trade. I mean, I literally think, I mean, it's just like if you ask a girl on a date and she says no. I mean, if you grab her and make her go, it's assault. You can't trade with people who don't want to trade. And I realize you guys may say, "Well, Honda, you're just boring." I'm not being boring. Because I'm not a fan, I'm presenting you the facts. I knew those 3 weren't going to move. I was told by people in the organizations. And that was correct. That's why tonight Adam Schefter reported hearing the Patriots aren't moving. And I just retweeted and put, yes, we've been reporting this for weeks. And everyone, oh, they're going after Penix. Okay. Would they have added Michael Penix to this team? Yes. Would they have added Michael Penix at 13? No. That's why I was able to definitively say that to you. Okay. So I've been telling you a lot lately, and you can go back and see my last podcast before this one, that I was told by an executive there are more bad drafters right now in the NFL than probably at any time that they can remember in the NFL history. So there was a lot of bad picks at certain points tonight. And because of it, good players were pushed down. Now, then there were teams that are okay drafters, not great, but okay, who took some people that were reaches, but they were positions of need. So you can justify that. Okay. Boy, I think this guy's got a 2nd-round grade, but he's the best and long snapper, and we got to have a long snapper. So I'm going to take him in the first, even though I got a 2nd-round grade, because I need him so bad I can't afford someone else to take him. Okay. That's a philosophy. I like a need and best player approach. I'm going somewhere with this. Please just stay with me for a minute. I promise I'm hurrying. I know we're all tired. So there was a few reaches there, which those make a little bit more sense because you knew the team had a need and there wasn't a lot of depth there. So players are getting pushed down. Now, there were a few players, and those of you who followed me for years know this term, but because we've added so many new listeners, I want to explain. There is a term in the NFL called a dog. Okay. And what that means is this is a person with very little risk. This is a person that you expect to pick, plug and play. They're going to be a stud and they're going to be an impact player, and it's as close to a can't miss as you're ever going to get. Okay. Now, everyone has a risk, but it's as close to a can't miss. Okay. There were some very good defensive players, very good, but there were none that had, when I talk to NFL teams, a dog label. There were two tackles, Fawaga and Alt, that were, everyone said dog. There were some other guys. There's one guy that one team thought was a dog and others thought very good, first round talent, but not a dog. All right. And then there was Marvin Harrison, and that was considered to be a really, really good player, the best receiver, but not a dog. Now, I'm going to explain about him in a minute. Rome Adunze was a guy that very high, as well as neighbors, but not dogs. Overall, excuse me, in this draft, there were four players by all the teams I talked to, and three for the rest that they thought were dogs. These are top of the board. These are guys going to be in your top 10 list. And Bowers was on every team I talked to's list as a dog, as an absolute dog. The Raiders, we've wrote about them. A couple weeks ago, I talked with John Shop, who's on the podcast every week, about him. Stud player, but literally, they never thought he would get to 13. They just did not conceive that as, I mean, and so did they have plans for it? Sure. Did they expect it? Sure. I'm sure a lot of you play Powerball and you have plans for what you would do if you win it, but you don't expect it. Um, so they love Alt. They didn't think there was a chance they were going to get Alt, and they love Fawaga. I believed, um, and I believe it was the feeling in the building that they were going to end up tonight with Fawaga. But as the board kept playing out, and I mean, you're watching some picks and you're like, what? But you're watching it fall. You start thinking, okay, now look at need here. Look at need. Okay, so you're looking at who's drafting above the Raiders. You know how they draft. All right. Now, everyone was predicting massive amounts of trades. I don't know how many happened tonight, but there wasn't massive amounts. My last mock, I had two. Um, that was all that I really thought because most teams were going to stay where they were. Most teams didn't want to move because it was such a deep draft. So the Raiders, were not making calls today, furiously trying to move up a board. That they already knew what people weren't going and what was going to happen. So the Raiders then saw the board falling. Now I need to tell you a couple things. Michael Mayer is in great shape. He's good, fine and healthy. And the Raiders thought he was the best tight end last year. And I believed he was as well and said so. So now they're sitting here and they're looking at Devontae, Jacoby, and Trey Tucker. Zamir White, there's four. Michael Mayer, five. Now you get to add the second year in a row, the best tight end, and I'll be very blunt with you. Bowers, uh, Michael Mayer was not considered a dog last year, but he was a number one tight end. Very good player, not a dog, very good player. Bowers was a dog. So now you get to add a generational tight end. Now, he's a lot like Rob Gronkowski. Matter of fact, a lot of the scouting reports have him as Rob, probably not as eccentric, but he can do everything very fast. Michael Mayer can be split out. He can be split out. Loves to block, take people's heads off. You can run him in some heavy goal line packages because he can run at running back. That's how fast he is. He's strong as an ox and loves to block. Now, AP has told you he wants an offense that attacks vertically and attacks at the line of scrimmage. So he has a threat from a running back position as a big spot. Now, remember that versatility may help you to be able to take less running backs and take more defensive players. Think about it. Think about it. Versatility. Now, the Raiders are going to run a lot of 12 and 13 sets next year. I'll explain to you what that means. The one is the running back. So you have one running back, and you can have two or three tight ends. So imagine now you're lining up in a heavy package, meaning you got everybody, maybe it's a 4th and 1. And you got Michael Mayer in there. And you've got um, you know, Zach Bowers, and you've got whoever makes it the other Raider tight end spot. But you got the Mayer and Bowers who can take off down the field on a 7 route with speed, wide receiver speed for Bowers. It's a complete mashup because when you go to a heavy package, the defense goes to a heavy package. So you come to the line of scrimmage. If they haven't subbed out, you run the ball. If they have subbed out, you send him down the field. They didn't think they were going to get him. Now, if I'm being completely honest, great player. Okay. I have zero issues with this pick. And if you understand the game of football, he can play like another offensive lineman. I would have taken probably Talise Fuaga. But as the draft continued to unfold, there are offensive tackles with first round grades still available. Still available. And there are corners, Kool-Aid McKinstry, first round grade. There are some serious, very good players. I fully expect, and this is that the Raiders are going to come out of this tomorrow with 2 more starters. I think they're going to come out with starting right tackle tomorrow. And I think there's a good chance they're going to come out with another starting corner. But when you have an opportunity to get a Bowers and you look at the mismatches and what it creates. So you're sitting there at 13. Now, I saw some people calling Tom Telesco stupid and other things because he didn't trade back. So let me just ask you this question. Okay. Why would you trade back if you got a chance to buy a $250,000 Lamborghini and you don't have to give up any picks and somebody's offering you $100,000 for it? Hey, we'll give you 100,000. I mean, the offers to move back were not what the Raiders thought were of value compared to his value. Okay. I like my truck. I have a very nice truck. I enjoy my truck. And if somebody came to me and offered me something and said, "Hey, I'll trade you this for your truck." Well, if it's not better than my truck, I'm not going to trade my truck. And so people did call, but compared to the value of Bowers, what they offered was not as valuable. So the Raiders made a very smart decision. I've been hammering on you and reminding you this is a new era. Remember, we talked about frugal and not cheap, and we talked about being disciplined. Tom Telesco is approaching the draft discipline. Okay, I'm more than willing to trade my pick, but you have to be willing to pay me my pick. Fair enough? And I'm also going to, at that pick, know what is a 13 pick worth. Okay. And they felt, and I know others agreed, that Fuaga was a dog, but Bowers was a dog with even more value. Okay. Again, I have no issue with the pick. I thought it was a good pick. Now, let's go to the elephant in the room because I got hundreds of social media and emails. What the blank is this worth if you're not going if you don't have a quarterback? Okay. I have been telling you, I broke the story last year. Brian Hoyer wasn't coming back, and neither was Jimmy. Now, in fairness, it's pretty simple to, you know, guess that Jimmy wasn't, but I I did. I've been telling you all along. They really think they may have something in Aiden O'Connell. I said they need to get a veteran and a rookie. They're going to. They're going to get they got a veteran and they're going to get a rookie in this draft. But they believe in Aiden O'Connell and they believe in Gardner Minshew. I had a lot of people ask me, well, who's going to throw to these guys? Your answer means nobody. They don't have anybody. No, my answer is I've told you for months. It's going to be whoever wins it. They're going to go into it with Aiden as QB1. And everyone's going to have to beat him. And so who do I think Aiden will beat him? Mm, I think it's close. I'll say 51-49. But I think Gardner's got a really good shot. I just like him, and I know I just like his game. But I'm a big believer in Aiden, and so are they. He had no OTAs, no mini camps. He didn't have the training camp to learn the offense that they want to run. I mean, he finally gets the job, gets the reins handed to him, and he loses two coaches. He gets a first time Bo Hardigree, a first time offensive coordinator. They're trying to change the offense. It was brutal. You could say, well, he didn't do this, he didn't do that, he didn't do this. Okay, you're right. But nobody wants to talk about what he did. I mean, this is a long haul game. So I've been reporting to you, and I know people got mad at me, but you have to understand my job is not to report to what makes you feel good because a lot of you are sitting here tonight frustrated with people that reported to you for clicks because you wanted to hear it. My job is to report to you right down the middle. Here are the facts. The facts were they would have been willing to select a quarterback in the first round. But the two gentlemen that they thought were worth it didn't get to them, either because they were picked before they got to their spot or to move up to get them. The people didn't want to trade or the cost was stupid. Okay. So I've been telling you, they believe in him. They have told you they believe in him. The players have told you they believe in him and Gardner. So again, I don't blame you if you think I don't like these quarterbacks. I'm not frustrated with you at all. I'm not even frustrated, but I don't understand fans. I'm trying to not get you hyped. I'm just trying to give you information. And so what I would say to you today is the Raiders just got exponentially better. And if one more of you, I don't even know how many people today I just muted, which means I won't even see their comments anymore. Well, this team's going to suck. We're only going to win 4 or 5 games next year. Really? Because this team, which is better with free agency, won 8 last year and finished 1 game out. So you really think they're going to go backwards? You really think they're going to add a Christian Wilkins? You really think they're going to add all the players that they've added? They're going to add a Bowers plus the guys that are coming, add a Gardner Minshew, added better staff, have an OT. And it really, I mean, I think sometimes people need to just relax. You're entitled to any opinion you want, but I'm also entitled when you engage me to tell you what I think. And I just did. I understand if you feel like we don't have a quarterback. Okay. I don't think that's an opinion that anyone can be critical of you for. But to say, oh, this is it, they're going to be trash and only win 3 or 4 games last year when they won 8 this year and they're already better. I'm sorry. I think that's just trying to have the hot take. I have learned covering the Raiders, there are some people who just enjoy hating whatever the Raiders do. But here's where they're at. They're going to add a quarterback. I'm not so sure they're going to add it tomorrow. Depends on how it falls and who falls. Um, they're going to, I think they're going to get 2 starters tomorrow. And again, it could fall a certain way. So that's not definitive. But they just went out and got a absolute stud. The Raiders now have the best tight end room in the NFL. With Devontae, Jacoby, and Trey, I think you can make an argument that they, at the 1-2 spot, they have the best wide receiver core. And I think Trey's coming. So I think he's going to be fantastic. You got 2 quarterbacks. You got Zamir White. You know exactly what you're going to get in Amir Abdullah. Then you obviously go out and sign a free agent. You're in a good spot. This is not a Raider team with a ton of holes. That's the other thing. I was talking with a dear friend of mine today. And he said to me, he goes, Hondo, I don't understand people talking about all these holes the Raiders have. Okay. Do they need a safety? Mm-hmm. They do. Marcus Epps and uh, I'm so tired. I'm phone. Uh, Trayvon Merrick are 2 very good ones. Do they need a corner? Uh-huh. But Jacorian Bennett's coming now. I keep hearing a lot of people talking to me about Jacorian. And he's got 4.3 speed. That kid's lightning quick. And they just got a generational talent. Now, tight end, a generational tight end is not the equivalent of a generational quarterback. We all agree on that. But if you don't think there's a generational quarterback, see, sometimes I think there are people who think the utopian world is trade up because whatever quarterback you trade up and get is going to be Kenny Stabler. Kenny Stabler and Patrick Mahomes ain't growing on a tree. Joe Burrow's not growing on a tree. And the truth about Penix is the Falcons just went and way overpaid and took a big risk. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, I really like Penix. Great kid, great player, but 4 season-ending injuries, both knees, both shoulders. You just can't. Good teams don't take that risk. So if you're mad tonight, that's okay. I'm not critical of any of you who don't like the pick. I'm critical of the ones that just go to the extreme, and I'm not complaining about the critics because you weren't jerks to me, but attacking your franchise. You just got a generational player. If they would have skipped a generational quarterback to pick this guy, I'd have been critical. If I'd have been in Tom Telesco's chair, I would have taken Talise Fuaga. I would have. But it doesn't mean I don't like this pick. So they nab a dog. They nab a dog. They're getting better. They're getting better. Now, I want to remind you of something. I talked about this the other day. There's nothing wrong if you go into next year and Aiden beats everybody out or Gardner beats everybody out. Because if you don't see what you need, you go get a quarterback next year. To which people say to me, but next year's quarterback class is supposed to be terrible. Well, last year they weren't talking about J.J. McCarthy being a one, and then we're talking about Jaden Daniels being a one. Everybody always emerges. That's the game of football. So tonight, how do I grade this draft? Absolute freaking A. You just got a generational talent and you gave up no draft picks. You didn't have to move. Now, did they look at moving back into the first round for someone else? Yes, they did. Cost was too high. And that's not how the Raiders roll anymore. They don't mind paying a high price, but they're not paying Lamborghini prices for a Corvette. And they're not paying Corvette prices for a Camaro. And they're not paying Camaro prices for a Toyota, whatever Toyota makes. That's a little car. Corolla. Not being cheap, but being frugal, paying what something's worth. I want to say this to you. I'm not a company man. I don't get paid by the Raiders. I get paid by Sports Illustrated, and my bosses give me full reign to be critical. I will not lose my credentials to be in this building covering this draft if I'm critical. The Raiders are a first class organization, and they understand a media person's job is to report factually, and that's what I'm reporting. But I'm telling you, as I sat there tonight and reading texts from people around the league about this and the steal, I had one friend of mine who's a defensive coordinator that said to me, how do you defend that? Jacoby, Devontae, your two tight ends, Zamir. How do you defend it? You can say, well, you can rush because there's weaknesses on the offensive line. I agree, but it's only night one of the draft. You still got tomorrow and Saturday. A lot of time to go, and you still got free agency. So night one is an A. I totally get it if you wanted a Fuaga. Makes sense to me. I totally get it if you wanted one of the quarterbacks because you felt they were a generational talent. Okay. I respect you for that. I think there were a couple of generational quarterbacks, but I'm just asking you, be fair. Now remember, I'm not a fan. I get to be fair. You don't have to be. But in fairness, you can't trade if people don't want to trade. No can do. And additionally, is if you get a generational talent and you keep accumulating talent and you have the ability to use that talent, that's awesome. I think tomorrow's going to be an exciting day. Now, depending on when you're watching this, I'm taping it late Friday night, but I mean Thursday night. So I think Friday night's draft, because some of you may be watching it moments before the draft, but it's a great draft. I think Tom Telesco showed you a ton about him. He's not going to mortgage your future. He's going to build a franchise that's going to be successful and going to be productive for years. Now I get it, Raider Nation. When you say, but we've not been, and I'm using your term, you're saying we've not been that for 20 years. I get it. You're tired of it. Your organization sells you just win, baby. I get it. 100%. No argument. But that's not Tom's fault. And it's not Antonio's fault. They're building the right way. I have sat here and looked you in the eye on many occasions and told you when things were worthy of being critical, and I've called people out. I'm not afraid of it. But I'm not just going to be negative because it'll get clicks. I won't do that to you. Raider Nation, you're better than that. And you deserve better. I'm trying to tell you exactly what I feel talking to people. I texted several responses, all of them A, A, A. I'm going to tell you what I hear. Then it's your job to have any opinion. And if any of you thought tonight I was calling you out for having a opinion that disagrees, I'm not. I'm just calling out some of the people that just got vulgar and made comments like this team's. One person literally said to me, well, not to my face, but through reaching out, we're going to win 4 games just like last year. All right, you are way deep into the wild turkey, or you're smoking something that isn't a Pall Mall, because they won 8 and finished 1 game out with everything against them. This Raider team's coming. They're coming. And I'm telling you right now, I enjoy my job. I love my family, but I enjoy my job. I am probably right now more excited for next year's football season than anyone that I can remember in a long time. This team's going to be tough. You just added a kid tough as nails. You're going into a dark alley and you want a Brock Bowers with you. You just got yourself a Raider now. He's fast. Y'all know how much Al loves fast. He'll get to the line of scrimmage and give you a forearm shiver. Old school football. He'll block, go after people. He's mean now. Good kid, but he's mean. He's got a side of mean in him. And you got a kid that talked about how shocked he was, but how jacked he was. One other bit of information. Tom Telesco said something, and if you didn't watch the video, he talked about we're not going to advertise what we're going to do. As someone asked him, well, Brock said he talked at the combine and hadn't done a lot. Uh-huh. We're not going to advertise what we do. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I'll do another one Friday night. I'll do another one Saturday. I'll do another one a Sunday recap. But make sure you also check out Monday, because we're going to go back now. We got some receipts. If you're old like me, it's a term that kids are using now. It means just remembering what people said. It's just kind of a cool term. But we got receipts, and I'm not trying to sound like a kid, but ever since I heard it, I really like it. And Monday now, we're going to dig in on this, because Raider Nation, it is my purpose and my goal that next year there is each year less and less and less of you that get played. You should be happy tonight. Yep, maybe they didn't get a quarterback you want, or didn't get a player. You can't always get what you want, but they got a dog. They got a dog. And if you're one of the fans that wanted Antonio Pierce, he's very thrilled tonight that he has Brock Bowers. So if you wanted him and you're mad, think about it. Follow me on IG at Hondo SR, on X, formerly known as Twitter, when you go to at Hondo Carpenter. And don't forget, just go to si.com/NFL/Raiders. I have to say one other thing, then I've got to let you go. I got to get some sleep. You guys have reached out to my family with the loss of my brother, with so many wonderful emails and kind words. And as I sat there with his children and his grandchildren and his wife and our family, and just let him read some of the wonderful things that you people said, I just want you to know, I've said this a lot. I am really grateful for Raider Nation. I love you guys. It is such a privilege to be your beat writer. You don't have to be watching this. I'm not entitled to you watching. I get to. I get to do this. And I have a ton of respect for Raider Nation. But I just want you to know, you guys really touched, and his daughter, both of his daughters, but were moved to tears reading many of the things that you guys said. And I just want to thank you for being kind to my family. I'll tell you what, Raider Nation gets a bad rep because you're some of the finest human beings in the whole world. And my little nephew, Liam, and they live in New Orleans, and they're big Saints fans. My little nephew Liam comes up. He says, Uncle Hondo, and I said, yeah. And he said, you think this Christmas you can get me a Raiders shirt? I said, well, yeah, but you're a Saints fan. He goes, mm, I don't think so. I really like Raider people. He goes, I really like it. And he goes, and I was looking at videos of you of Raider people, and they wear really nice costumes. And he goes, and they said so many nice things to our family. So you guys have won another member of my family over, and I think you won a few more too, but I don't want to make this about me, but it would have been rude of me to not thank you. I always want you to know I'm appreciative and you matter to me. So, from all of my family to you, God bless you. Get some sleep. Let's just meet back here tomorrow night, same time. And hopefully, we're going to have a lot of ooey gooey, chewy NFL draft goodness to discuss. Because if you're a football fan right now, this is Christmas. This is fun. I appreciate y'all. From the Raiders headquarters, this is Hondo Carpenter, your Sports Illustrated Las Vegas Raiders beat writer. God bless you, everybody. Have a great night. Yeah, it would work if I turn the thing off here. I'm sorry, you guys are going to think I'm a dingbat.